Well, I suppose I better bring you up to speed from the last video. I got a nice bear on the one bait, and it's a sow. It's a really fat sow. She definitely would not be that fat if she had cubs, so when she comes back I don't expect her to have cubs with her. She's been back twice, and I expect she'll come back again this afternoon, but I'm just going to hold off for one more day, and I want to wait and see what happens on the other bait, and then just see also if she attracts more bears to that bait. So I'm going to give it one more day, and then if I don't have any other bears on the bait, I'm going to seriously consider shooting her, or trying to shoot her, tomorrow. And it will depend on the wind direction, but tell you what I'm really thinking about doing is something I've only done a couple times in my life, and that is just building a quick natural ground blind out of the vegetation that I can find right in that area, branches and so forth, and then just sit on a bucket 20 yards from the bait and try to shoot her off the ground. That's a real challenge, and especially to get it on video, but if I end up trying for her, that's probably how I'm going to do it. I ended up fishing quite a few spots along this forest road where I could kind of bushwhack my way down to the lakes, or if there's a bridge where a guy can kind of get down there to fish, and didn't catch much. I did catch a real nice northern pike at one spot. It was probably about 32 inches, 10 pounds I think. It was a pretty chunky pike, but other than that, that's all I caught. I'm probably going to go fishing again in the morning. I've been thinking about hiring a guide here and having a traditional shore lunch, something I really enjoy and almost never do, and they've got guides going out every day here at the Camp Quetico Resort. So they typically go out about 7:30 in the morning, come back about 5 in the afternoon, but I think I'll just have a guide drop me off at 1 or 2 o'clock, so I got plenty of time to get out and quickly check the baits and then decide what to do from there. So I haven't decided for sure yet, but seriously considering that. So I gotta kind of get things organized for tomorrow here and get things closed up. Welcome to day 4. It is another beautiful morning here on the Canadian Shield, and another day of unseasonably mild weather. It's supposed to get into the upper 70s today, and I have a plan for today. The plan is this: I'm going fishing this morning with a guide from the resort, and we're going to have a shore lunch, and because we are about 45 minutes from the resort in the direction that I want to go, I drove up in here to meet the guide here, and then we're going to come in a couple hours early, right after shore lunch. We're coming in, and then I'll have a couple of hours to check baits, and my plan from there is that if the second bait is hit, I'll look at the cards and I'll decide I might just hang and hunt there depending on what bears we have on that bait. If not, I'll come back to the first bait, throw up a ground blind, and hunt that sow with the white V on her chest. That's the plan. So not sure which it's going to be. Kind of going to be a fly by the seat of my pants kind of day, and I'm looking forward to spending some time on the water here in the morning, and then checking the trail cameras and the baits in the afternoon, and decide where to go park my butt for the evening hunt. So it should be a fun day, and maybe there'll be a bear at the end of it. Well, it looks pretty much just like it did yesterday. So I guess we'll check the camera and see what we got. Well, they've definitely been back. There's more bait gone again. Well, it's 3 o'clock and I need to get in a stand, except that unfortunately I've got a dilemma. Actually, I got two dilemmas. The first thing is that this bait where I have the bear that's hitting it regularly, unfortunately it has not showed up in the daylight yet. The second dilemma is that the other bait has, apparently a bear hit it, but I don't have any trail camera pictures of it. I got 165 pictures of ravens and squirrels and rabbits and so forth, but the bait has definitely been opened. There's quite a bit of trail mix gone. There's some good enough sized logs moved that it's not like a raven could do that. And there's no pictures of bears on the bait. So I have no idea what happened there. I was gonna just pull the camera, and then I thought, you know, I gotta give that bait one more day and try to figure out what's going on in there, and hopefully the camera will behave itself tonight and tomorrow until I get a chance to check it. So the other bait, that's what I'm really considering right now. That bear came back after dark again last night and left at 7 o'clock this morning, just after daylight. So I don't have any daylight pictures of that bear. So I guess one way to look at that on one hand is the bear's due to come back in the daylight. On the other hand, the first time you hunt a bait is your best chance. I don't want to go in there, and the wind is not great in there. I could probably get away with it based on the direction that I think the bear is coming from, but I just hate to screw it up. I'd really like the bear to come in one time during daylight and be rewarded with something good to eat and feel comfortable in there before the end of legal shooting light. You know, the other part of that dilemma is that it's a sow, which I prefer not to shoot a sow, but it's not that big of a deal to me right now. It's the only bear that I really got going. It's a very nice big bear. I'm just really not in love with the idea of shooting the only bear that I've got on the baits right now, but I'm running out of time. You know, tomorrow's Friday. I got to go home. I got a lot to do next week, so I really got to go home this weekend. So there's a part of me that just really wants to go in there, take a chance on it, and hunt that bear, because I think that that bear is due to come in before the end of legal shooting light. But on the other hand, it's 80 degrees right now, and it's almost October, and for it to be 80 degrees, these bears have a heavy layer of fat. They're putting on their winter fur. So I just feel like that really reduces the odds of that bear coming in until right after dark, and then I got to get out of a stand and sneak out of there, and I really run the risk of boogering the whole situation up. So I don't know. I guess I hate to just not hunt. I've been here, this is my 4th day here, and I still haven't even gotten a stand. But the reality is, you just have to wait till everything is right and then strike. And it's just not right. So I guess I'm not going to hunt again tonight. I mean, I know that that's the right thing to do, even though I really, really want to go in there and get in the stand and just enjoy an evening and maybe see a bear. But So I guess where I'm at right now is that if I don't have at least one bear in daylight on the cameras tomorrow, I'm probably just going to pull them and go home, and that way I can deer hunt with my grandson this weekend. Man, it would be good to be home. You know, I've been gone since the 10th of July. I haven't hardly been home at all, and here it is almost October. So I guess we will see what tomorrow brings. So I thought I'd just share a couple things with you that aren't typically things that people think about with regard to bear hunting in new areas, I guess you could say. And one of the reasons I ended up in this area was a friend, Brian, had come across this situation and invited me to come along. And he was very excited about the fact that this area has not been hunted. And I've probably explained this to you before, but in Ontario you can buy a tag across the counter for bears, but you can't, if you're a non-resident, you can't just go hunt anywhere. You actually have to go through an outfitter and have him sign off on your declaration, and you have to hunt in his specific guided concession, where the province of Ontario is all divided up into sections where specific outfitters have the sole rights to hunt in certain areas. You have to go through an outfitter basically, even though you can buy a tag over the counter. Like in a lot of other provinces, you actually buy your tag from the outfitter. So Ontario is a little different in that way. So anyway, this outfitter had said, yeah, I've got this area I haven't hunted for like 7 years. And boy, that sounds really good on the surface. There's really 3 components that need to be thought through, and the first of those, of course, is why is he no longer hunting it, and that has become pretty obvious, and it became obvious right away, and it's at the far end of his hunting area, and it's way back, it's 65 kilometers back on a very rough forest road. And so when you get out of the stand at dark, you're still 2 hours from the camp. And that's just not conducive to guiding or having to go track a bear, or, yeah, it's just tough, and that's why he doesn't come all the way back up here anymore. Well, that's not really a big deal because, you know, I don't mind going way to the ends of the earth, kind of. You know, my guides laugh at me in Minnesota. They call me End of the Trail Bernie because I like to get way out into those areas where, you know, a lot of people just won't go, and you're just not going to see anybody else up there, which is the case with this. You're just not going to see anyone else up there. So, but the other part of this is most people, when they hear, well, this hasn't been hunted for 7 years, are like, ooh, yeah, you know. That might improve the age structure of the bears a little bit, having not been hunted, but overall, it's not necessarily a good thing. And here's the part 2 and 3 of this. Part 2 is that when you bait bears, the bear population goes up. Okay, more bears get through the winter in good shape, the survival rate is higher, the sows are eating better, they have more fat, so they're having more cubs, and when bears are being baited, the population of bears is just, it's higher. You would think that if they're being hunted, the population would be lower, but it's not. It's really the opposite. And so the fact that this hasn't been baited for 7 years probably means that there's not as many bears as there would be if it was being baited every year. And then part 3 to this is that once you have bears coming to a bait site, they've been rewarded there, they feel comfortable there, they know where the food is found from year to year. The more you use a bait site, the better they get. So the fact that it hasn't been baited for 7 years means the bears, they're not checking the bait sites, they're not familiar with them, they don't feel comfortable there, and it's harder. This is just a roundabout way of saying that while it seems like not having been hunted for 7 years is a good thing, it's probably not a benefit. And if I don't have a bear in the daylight or what looks like a killable bear, then it just probably makes sense to pull everything and go home. I got an awful lot to do at home now with my sister passing away. I'm going to have probably about a 3-day trip to Phoenix where I got to fly down there and back that I have to plug in somewhere in the next week or so here. I haven't heard a time of a service yet or anything, but that's going to take some days out of my schedule, so I need to get something done here or just pull the plug on it. We're going to hit the woods in about half an hour here. I just got to get my stuff gathered up and start heading up the dusty trail. Well, it looks pretty much just like it did yesterday. Well, this is not really what you wanted to see, but unfortunately on the one bait we didn't have a bear until midnight, and then on the other bait there was definitely more trail mix gone, but the logs weren't moved anymore. And I got to really looking at it, and the smaller logs are the ones that have been moved and the bigger ones haven't been moved. And it's hard for me to believe that a raven can move even a small log, but something moved those logs and did not get a picture taken, or else those ravens are able, I don't know, I mean, it seems crazy, but that's the only way I can explain it. So anyway, I got to head back to camp. I got everything loaded up here. I got to go get my stuff and check out of the cabin, and that's it for Ontario for the year. I sure had fun though. Man, it's just beautiful up here. I love this country. Had good fishing. Really enjoyed running the baits and all that, and the scenery and just the overall experience, both spring and fall. But yeah, it's just not going to happen, and there's an awful lot of work waiting for me at home. So I guess those bears have not been watching this YouTube channel because they are not doing what bears are supposed to do. I had 2 bears on the one bait now, so second one showed up, but it was there at midnight, and then the other one was there at 5 to 6 to 7 in the morning. But all in all, I had a great trip. I'm really grateful that you joined me on this, and I'm sorry that there's not a bear at the end of it, but that's I guess that's the way it goes sometimes. So there's more videos coming. We will see you on the next video.